Right, welcome everyone to another stream. We've got very big news when it comes to the transfer market topic, which, by the way, I checked after yesterday's live stream and it does end at the end of January. So we've got like 3 days left, three-ish, maybe 3-4 days left until the transfer market, and 3-4 days before today we've had some great news. Now, obviously, as you can read from today's title, Diawara has convinced himself to leave Roma. This is very good news for us, and we'll get, we'll talk about why. And in my opinion, it's also a good option for him, because we said this over the course of yesterday's live stream. Diawara, basically, he wants to stay at Roma. He wanted to stay at Roma. But he himself understood, and he was obviously back from AFCON. He lost, as we already said before, the derby against Gambia. He came back to Roma a few days ago, and as soon as he came back, an immediate impact from Thiago Pinto, who decided to immediately contact him, immediately have meetings with him and his agents to try and convince him. Because as we said yesterday, if we do want to expect someone else when it comes to Roma buying a player, then Diawara has to leave. And today, actually, yesterday night, you get the point. Diawara has convinced himself that he is gonna stop refusing all the bids he's gonna receive, and the convincing bid he is going to accept, and most probably he will leave Roma. In fact, could go away. It's happening. He is going away. He is leaving Roma. He said it himself, that he understood after all of these meetings with his agents and Thiago Pinto that the best option for him is to leave. He was not going to play. Yes, why does Siri pop up every time I mention Diawara? It is like the 7th time you pop up. Shut up! Thank God. Your name is not Diawara, and it's nowhere near Diawara, so please be quiet. What I was saying is that, Diawara himself understood that the best option was to leave for his own career. He's a young player. I think, out of all the players which got basically X'd by Mourinho, he is the best. He's got some talents. I think a small club which is fighting for relegation, like an example in the Serie A is Sampdoria or Cagliari. These clubs, I think Diawara could be a big part of their project, can be their main player. And basically, I genuinely think that the best option for Diawara is to leave. And he acknowledged this. And, we are extremely happy, not just for Roma, because we're not a bunch of selfish lads. We're happy for him as well. We like Diawara. Diawara is a good old friend, and we want him to have the best out of his football career. So he's convinced himself over the last couple of hours, after many meetings with him, his agents, Thiago Pinto, and probably Mourinho as well, which is currently not in Rome, is in London with his family. Many players are not in Rome. Tammy and a few others are in Dubai. Ibanez is in Florence, because Mourinho gave them a four-day break. So, I think after a few phone calls, a few meetings, Diawara has convinced himself that, the best option is to leave, and he will accept an interesting bid. This doesn't mean that any bid which approaches him, he will accept. Obviously, it will take him time to accept a bid. But the most important thing is he has made it clear that he will leave Roma. In fact, quoting what his agent said today, his agent basically said, this is a quotation, a direct quotation from Diawara's agent, he will leave Roma, and he is very tempted to move to Valencia. Now, Valencia approached him quite a few weeks ago. He was playing AFCON, but Valencia approached him. Valencia, since the very start of this season, was interested in Diawara. Now, Diawara initially refused the offer against Valencia, and in fact, as you can see from today's screen, You can see Valencia being interested in Ndombele. They're interested in Moriba, young Barcelona player in loan from Leipzig. So they're kind of pointed away from Diawara, but I think if now that they know that Diawara has accepted the bid, they have sold Daniel Vas, as MO says in the chat, Danish player who's gone to Atletico Madrid. They need a midfielder. So, and Diawara has said that he would love to join Valencia. Now, when it comes to the bids, Diawara has actually been contacted by a very different amount of clubs. In the Serie A, he basically got contacted by the clubs who are fighting for relegation because they think that Diawara, I think this can be a big part of their project, their objective to not get relegated. And these clubs are Venezia, Sampdoria and Cagliari are all interested in him. And in the Premier League, not in the Premier League, in England, in the Championship, Fulham is interested in Diawara, and in Spain, Valencia is interested in Diawara. Now, if you ask me now, where do you think Diawara will go out of these teams? Diawara has said himself, as I said before, that he would love to join Valencia. So we will see what happens. Now, getting back to our original question we were thinking about. Is AS Roma's transfer market done? A few hours ago, I would have definitely said yes. Now, with this news, I think it's all on Thiago Pinto. And trust me, it basically lays on his backs. Because I can see two things happening. First of all, Diawara said he was gonna leave, but this does not mean that he will leave in these last 3 days of the transfer market. And this is something that everyone in the chat should acknowledge. The fact that Diawara said he will leave does not mean that he could leave in these last 3 days of transfer market, which then basically means that everything would happen in the summer. But what would also happen is that obviously we've got positive news now that Diawara said that he will leave. He's gonna leave this project. Roma have got one extra space to buy a midfielder. Is it a midfielder? Will it be a defender? I don't know. However, rumors say it that if Diawara leaves, the three names that you can see from today's screen are Danilo Pereira, NDOMBELE, and XHAXA. We'll talk about them in a couple of in a couple of seconds, because that sounds very weird. But yeah, basically, this doesn't mean, right, Diawara saying I will leave does not mean you'll leave now. And it's quite late. We've got 3 days until the transfer market ends. In 3 days, I genuinely think it's physically impossible for Thiago Pinto to find offers for Diawara to accept, find an interest, and find an agreement to buy another player and get that player to fly in. I believe that selling Diawara is obviously a bonus, as we said before, because it leaves that extra space for us to buy another player, that money to buy another player, but it does not mean that it will happen now, because Diawara could easily leave this summer. He said he will leave, but he did not say he will leave now. And obviously big offers that he will accept need to come in these last couple of days if he wants to accept it. Now, talking about the three players, as I said before, which are most likely to replace Diawara in the midfielders section, obviously we've got Ndombele from Tottenham, XHAXA from Arsenal, and Pereira from PSG. Out of these three players, we clearly know who's the worst. Danilo Pereira. Danilo Pereira, apart from the experience, he's extremely slow on the ball, and when you compare him to Cristante, I find no difference. And everyone says transfer market is to improve the team. Buying Danilo Pereira is one of those players I would buy if we really struggle and just can't find any players. Obviously PSG, as we said yesterday, has offered Pereira, meaning that they're not asking much money and his value might drop. But out of the three, he's clearly the worst. And I think that if we have the money and the chances, maybe in the summer, to buy better players, then buying Danilo Pereira would only be one of those rush options from Thiago Pinto to try and give an extra player to Mourinho. So out of the three players, I would kind of forget about Pereira right now. I think it'd be way better, and I think Mourinho would benefit way more if either Ndombele or XHAXA come. Now, it's a big fight between the two. Obviously, XHAXA and Ndombele are both, both big clubs are interested in them. XHAXA and NDOMBELE are two players from two teams of North London, and there are two players which have completely closed with their own teams. XHAXA has basically, as I said, I don't enjoy playing anymore. He's having very bad relationships with fans, and NDOMBELE has also, is completely cut off by Conte's project. The fans were absolutely booing him in that match in the FA Cup. These two players are two players which have completely broken their empathy with their own club, which obviously makes things easier because their desire to leave is way higher. Out of the two players, I also would say that NDOMBELE would cost more money than XHAXA, because I think Tottenham need to try and get a deal by reselling NDOMBELE. Obviously, they bought NDOMBELE for what? It was like £60 million. So obviously, I do think they would they need to try and sell him for, I wouldn't say the same exact price because no one would buy NDOMBELE for 60 million, but close to that. That's why Roma is tempted to buy NDOMBELE on a loan instead of a permanent deal. XHAXA, also something that's about NDOMBELE is that he's interested, PSG is interested in him, and obviously, as we always say, we can't compete with them when it comes to economic and financial stuff. I would also say that PSG don't need him, though. I mean, why would PSG buy him? I'm still trying to get this through. They have got a very good midfielder. I get it. Why? Is Verratti is top class. Who do they have? They probably have someone else. And then, I get it. I mean, I get why PSG want him. But I think there are bigger clubs who want him more, in a way. But obviously, PSG can offer how much money they want to get him. PSG have made it clear, though, that to buy NDOMBELE, they need to sell someone. And this is exactly why they've offered Danilo Pereira to Roma. Let's talk about XHAXA, because XHAXA, once again, has, is cut out of the project. Basically, Arteta now has very young midfielders under the names of Lokonga, Thomas Partey, which are big parts, unlike XHAXA in his project, in his Arsenal project. Something bad about XHAXA is he did sign his contract. But I would say the desire of him to move could top things. And also XHAXA is interested, Juventus are interested in XHAXA, and Borussia Dortmund are interested in XHAXA. I think with Juventus buying Vlahovic, they'll definitely chill down when it comes to the transfer market now, because they've spent God knows how much amount of money on that deal. And obviously, COVID and everything has decreased the amount of money teams have. So I would say that, with Juventus buying Vlahovic, they're kind of less tempted in buying him. It's a big fight between us and Borussia Dortmund. And out of the three players, I mean, cut off Danilo Pereira, because Mourinho would definitely choose one out of XHAXA and NDOMBELE. He knows NDOMBELE way better. And NDOMBELE with Mourinho at Tottenham was great. They had a very good bond. That's why Tottenham was first in the Premier League for quite a long while. Tottenham was a big part of Mourinho at Tottenham. Mourinho had a lot of faith in NDOMBELE in the midfielder section. XHAXA is someone which Mourinho has never trained. But out of him and NDOMBELE, I would say that NDOMBELE is lazier, and I think XHAXA is more aggressive in a way. But if I were Thiago Pinto, I would definitely try and exclude Danilo Pereira out of these three. I would definitely point my eyes on either the Swiss or the French national team. Situation is this. We've got, we're proceeding well when it comes to the Diawara topic, because yesterday Diawara was not thinking about leaving Roma even for 1 second. He refused every single option. He wanted to stay at Roma. He has had in these latest couple of hours big meetings with Thiago Pinto and his agents. He's convinced himself. He said yes to being sold, but this does not mean, and this is really something I want you guys to get back and reflect on. This does not mean he will be sold in these last 3 days of the transfer market. This could easily mean that Diawara could be sold in the summer, which means that we won't buy anyone by the end of the transfer market in January. We need to stick with him, maybe give him one last chance, because I could also see Mourinho giving him more chances, him becoming greater, and then absolutely forgetting about selling him. So he's back from AFCON. he's back at Roma, he's training, yes, he said he was gonna leave, he is gonna leave, but at the same time, if he's not gonna leave by the end of January, I would definitely give him another chance. Because if we can find another, player which can be a big part with Mourinho, which Mourinho kind of rebuys the faith from, then it means that we don't need to buy anyone. Yes, Diawara is not XHAXA. Yes, Diawara is not NDOMBELE. But Diawara is young, and I think he's got some talents, which I think Mourinho should try him. This is all I'm saying. And basically, something else I want to conclude on is by reading some comments. Valencia sold West Atletico. Diawara is surely going to Valencia. I just hope the deal is right for Roma, so the money is used for a proper DM. How do you think Vlahovic will go? Yeah, right. You know what? Let's spend these last 3 minutes talking about this, even though it's not Roma related, because it's interesting. Juventus have spent a lot of money when it comes to the January deal for Vlahovic. Fiorentina fans, there's a big rivalry has been going on between Fiorentina and Juventus. So it was basically kind of our same situation with Pedro going to Lazio in a way. But the big difference is that Pedro was not a top player for us and Vlahovic was the main player of Fiorentina. That's the big difference. If Pedro was someone like Pellegrini, for example, someone like Zaniolo, and he would go to Lazio, maybe not that much of a rivalry. Going to, someone like AC Milan or even Juventus, we would be mad. Fiorentina fans are mad. And I understand them, but this is football. Football nowadays, fans out there, whatever, if you support Roma, if you don't support Roma, just learn that football nowadays is all about money. And all players care about is money, money, money. Vlahovic, fairly speaking, loved Florence, the city of Florence, loved the team, the fans loved him, but how can he have physically turned down a bid of 75 million? He couldn't. The only player, one of the few players who has done this in this area has been Totti. But we always say this, Totti could have gone to Real Madrid where he would have probably won a Ballon d'Or, so it's that mentality which players had a few years ago. It's not the same now. Nowadays it's all about money. So I understand why Fiorentina fans are mad, but at the same time, get used to it, because many other big players will leave their own clubs. And the only thing I would think is that I think he could have waited until the end of the season, because Fiorentina are in a massive role. For a club like them, they're fighting for the Europa League is amazing. I think he should have waited until the end of the season, continued magnificently with Fiorentina throughout the end of the season, and then leave. Basically, something else is that now we could kind of exclude Fiorentina from our Europa League / Champions League run, and it's all on Juventus now, because Juventus have got their big striker now. They're gonna sell Morata, but Fiorentina's gonna drop. We've seen them without Vlahovic. They're absolutely appalling, so they're gonna drop, and it's a big fight between us, Atalanta, Juventus, I'd say, and Lazio, yeah, but Lazio's Lazio. So yeah, that's what I think. Apparently Valencia signed Mariba already early today. Somehow I hope it's not too late for them to sign Diawara too. Sheka, the 27-year-old Portuguese in Lille, is the best option for DM for me. He earns 20,000 a week, about 1 million annually. His contract ends in this summer. Everything to Roma right now. I don't think Roma will want to pay NDOMBELE high wages. Yeah, that's definitely another factor that Thiago Pinto will look on. I don't think Mourinho likes NDOMBELE mentality. I don't agree on that. I think NDOMBELE's mentality has become worse because Conte has cut him out of his project. Nuno at the start of the season didn't really didn't play NDOMBELE much. Obviously, a player's mentality is gonna drop if the managers don't have faith in him. So I think with a manager like Mourinho, he could get his faith and his mentality back. What if we just play Sergio as the defensive mid and play Mickey and Pellegrini as the two more attacking centre mids? That trio is top in my opinion. I would actually go for a centre back. The problem with that is that Pellegrini always gets injured, and he will get injured from now on until the end of the season at least 3 times. So the problem with that is if one of the 3 gets injured, then we're back to the not having squad depth problem. I've heard we were linked to Marcos Senesi, yes, and Facundo Medina from Lens, 2 very good left-footed centre-backs. I would love either one of them. I heard about Senesi, not about Medina, but nothing clear right now. Not direct contacts. I really think Thiago Pinto is trying to buy another defensive midfielder rather than a centre back. I would love Marcos Senesi. If Jose buys Xhaka, I'm done with him. Xhaka shouldn't be costing 80 million. He's garbage, trash, gets red every big match. Right, lads. I'll catch you tomorrow for another live stream. Obviously, we've got an international break. No live watch long this weekend. But we'll have more transfer news, especially in these last 3 days. And then we'll think about preparations towards this big part of the season, which is extremely important. So please subscribe if you're new. Like 60% of you guys watching these videos, and I'm not saying just you guys in the live stream right now, if you're gonna watch this later, 60% of you guys are not yet subscribed. So please subscribe if you're new. Smash the like button if you haven't already as soon as it becomes a video, and comment in the comments what you think about the